showed up at my door to notify me that my child was deceased. Your child is deceased and we need you to come with us. I have to identify the body.
Did you know a urial shock? Who was that?
She's my niece.
When I picked her up, I could feel it through my gloves. She was just hot to touch.
You're going to determine that negligence was a crime.
It was a tragedy that does not amount to a crime under Florida law.
A Florida courtroom was rocked by heart-wrenching testimony as Tracey Nix, a 67-year-old grandmother, stands trial for allegedly leaving her 7-month-old granddaughter to die in a hot car. From the moment Uriel's mother learned of the tragedy to the emotional accounts from officers who responded to the scene, this trial has revealed the full impact of one grandmother's apparent mistake. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Florida grandmother Tracey Nix is on trial for the tragic and heart-wrenching death of her 7-month-old granddaughter, Uriel Shock, also called Yuri. The 67-year-old is charged with aggravated manslaughter after prosecutors say she left little Uriel inside of a hot car where the baby was found dead hours later. This devastating incident, which occurred on a scorching afternoon over 2 years ago, has shattered this family. And in a chilling twist, this is not the first time a child has apparently died while in Nix's care. We're going to talk about that. But going back to the case at hand, on November 1st, 2022, Kaye Shock, this is Yuri's mom, had asked her own mother, Tracey Nix, a former school teacher and principal, to babysit while she went to get her hair done. And what should have been just a simple favor turned into a nightmare. Because when Kaye returned home, she was met with an unimaginable horror scene. Her 7-month-old daughter was dead, left alone in the back seat of Nix's Lexus SUV, the windows rolled up with the sun beating down on Uriel's small, fragile body. On that day, temperatures soared to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. According to police, Nix claims she just forgot about the baby in the car after returning from lunch with friends. And based on what she told police at the scene, it wasn't until one of her grandsons arrived at the house that it hit her. Uriel had been left alone in the car all afternoon. By then, it was too late. The baby had suffered from hypothermia due to the suffocating heat, died after being trapped in that car for hours. And in a wild twist, I mentioned this before, according to reporting from Scripps News in Tampa, this isn't the first child to die under Nix's care. The outlet reports that in 2021, her 16-month-old grandson, Ezra, Yuri's brother, tragically drowned in a nearby pond while Nix was watching him. At the time, she had said she had fallen asleep. Now, despite the circumstances, a judge ruled that no charges would be filed for Ezra's death, but clearly she's on trial for what happened to Yuri. And to be clear, that prior tragedy is not going to be introduced in this trial, as the judge has excluded it from being presented to the jury. And this trial was actually moved from Hardee County to Polk County because there were concerns that there was just too much publicity surrounding the case in Nix's home county and she couldn't get a fair case. Hey, so not to take away from this in any which way, but I want to quickly call out our sponsor, Upside, because their support helped make this Nix recap possible. So this is a free app that gets you cash back when you buy daily essentials like gas, groceries, food. This is real cash back. It's money that appears in your Upside app that you transfer right into your bank account. If you look here, I used Upside to find a gas station near me. I claimed an offer on Upside, pay with my credit card at the pump, followed the steps on the app, and I got cash back. It is super simple. You can use Upside at all different kinds of places, restaurants, convenience stores. So to find out how much you can earn, you click the link in the description to download Upside, or you scan the QR code on screen, but make sure to use our promo code SIDEBAR because you'll get an extra 25 cents back on every gallon on your first tank of gas. Now, on the first day of trial, that's what we're going to talk about. The jurors heard, again, the devastating testimony from the victim's mother and aunt, who described just the devastating moment that they learned Uriel had died. Both women relived the tragic scene, with Uriel's mom, Kaye, recalling the anguish of discovering her baby's lifeless body in the back seat. Even the officers who responded to the scene, they struggled to hold back tears because they were describing the details of what they found. Now, to start things off, I want to play you Prosecutor Tim Coleman, who wasted really no time delivering a very forceful and emotional opening statement. He didn't hold back as he laid out the case against Tracey Nix, accusing her of gross negligence. Coleman highlighted the hours that passed after Nix returned home from lunch with friends, during which she seemingly paid no attention to her grandchild. He painted a stark picture of a grandmother who, instead of checking on Yuri, was distracted by other things.
They leave beats. The defendant grabs Yuri, grabs a diaper bag, goes to the car, opens the door, puts her in the back seat, puts her in the car seat, like a good babysitter should, closes the door, gets in the vehicle, drives straight home. About a 10-minute drive. She gets home. She parks her car by the house, gets out of the vehicle, closes the door, goes in the house. Never grabs Yuri. Yuri's still in the back seat, waiting, sleeping. Whatever it may be, she's back there. Grandma doesn't get her. She goes into the house, plays with her dog, practices piano. While she's playing with her dog, time passes. And Yuri's suffering. While she's playing the piano, time's passing. And Yuri's alone in that vehicle. She's also on her mind, what's her primary focus, is that she's got another grandchild that she's supposed to spend time with that day, and she's focused on that. She's messaging back and forth with the mom, Rebecca Tucker. She's focused on all these other things. And while she's focused on that, time passes, and Yuri suffers. Hours go by. Hours. Suddenly, oh my God, she realizes it. Hours later, she remembers, oh, I have this 7-month-old that I'm responsible for. Yuri died of hyperthermia. I don't think you need to be a doctor to understand that. Hypothermia is freezing. Hyperthermia, basically she overheated to death. That's what you're going to hear. And all the things that I talked about that the defendant was doing, you're going to hear that from her own mouth. She gave a statement. You're going to see and hear it. You're going to see a few other pieces of evidence, photos, things of that nature. You're going to see the body cam footage of when the detective showed up. And you're going to hear again from the defendant at that time. We want to focus on her actions, inactions, and the results of those actions. And if you do that, and you focus on those facts as we go through here today, you're going to come to several conclusions. You're going to come to the conclusion that this was a tragedy, that this was negligence. But when you hear the law, you're going to determine that negligence was a crime.
Now, of course, there are two sides to every story, right? There's two sides to every case. And when it was the defense's turn to present its opening statement, defense attorney William Fletcher acknowledged the undeniable fact that Tracey Nix had left her grandchild in the car, but he argued that while this was a tragedy, this doesn't constitute a crime. He emphasized that the death was a, quote, horrible mistake, but not one that should be punished with a lengthy prison sentence.
No one's going to tell you this wasn't a horrible, horrible situation. What happened was a family tragedy. But again, it was a tragedy that does not amount to a crime under Florida law. Tracey Nix is a loving mother, grandmother, retired school teacher of 39 years, principal for 17 years, good member of her church for 39 years, member of the choir, Sunday school teacher, and attends not prayer meeting, as they said, but Bible study. Once a week, they have a group. And you say, well, why am I bringing that up? That's because that's where Tracey Nix was headed that morning, was to Bible study with her group that meets every, I believe it's Tuesday morning. After she was leaving she was either getting ready to go or had left, her daughter Kayla said, hey, can you keep the baby today? I've got a hair appointment. Tracey had had the child 4 days the week before. She normally kept the child at least 1 or 2 days a week for quite a period of time. Tracey, trying to do a favor for her daughter, agrees to keep this child so that her daughter can go to the hair appointment. Tracey attends this Bible study. She then goes, she picks the child up. Yuri, we'll call her Yuri, picks Yuri up, goes to Beef O'Brady's with lunch with the ladies, some of the ladies she had had Bible study with. You can see, I think that state will introduce the video showing the attention that was given to Yuri by Tracey Nix, how she was acting toward her, and you will see how much she loved and cared for this child. After Beef O'Brady's, Tracey took the child home. I think it's about an 11-minute drive. They were doing roofing at her house that day. She couldn't park in the garage. I think you'll hear her statement. She doesn't remember where she parked, but she parked under a tree because she couldn't park in the garage. So she was distracted by that. The dog was in the way. She was distracted by the dog. She got out. She forgot the child. She forgot the child in the car. There's no doubt about that. She went in the house. She spent some time. She was focused. She was supposed to take her grandson by another daughter out to go really Christmas shopping and to take him out to eat. She was concerned about that. She gets in the car. She drives out to the barn. She's talking to her husband, and she realizes what's happened. It was an accident. Under Florida law, it does not amount to culpable negligence.
So the state began its case by calling Kayla to the stand. And Kayla's voice just cracked with emotion as she described the realization that her daughter had been left alone in a hot car hours after she had entrusted her mother, Tracey, with babysitting.
Let's go to the point where the officer showed up at your door.
Okay.
Was that, do you remember what time of day that was approximately?
My guess would be 2:30, 3 o'clock. I was not on any sort of a regimented schedule at that point, so it would have been sometime between probably 3 and 4, I would imagine.
Now, this was a while ago. Why did the officer show up at your door?
He showed up at my door to notify me that my child was deceased. His words were, "Your baby is dead. Your daughter is dead. Your child is deceased, and we need you to come with us."
Okay.
I have to identify the body.
Okay. Where did you go, ma'am?
I got in the vehicle with the sheriff that came to get me. They did not believe that I should be driving, which I agree. And he took me to the Florida Advent Hospital in Wauchula.
Okay. And you said you had to identify Yuri?
Yes, I did.
And you saw her?
I was not with my husband in that moment, and so as soon as we found each other in that parking lot, which was sheer insanity, then we went in together to look at our daughter and identify her body.
Later on, Brenda Knight, a close friend of defendant Tracey Nix, took the stand. And Brenda had had lunch with Nix earlier that day, described her as a loving grandmother.
And so did you guys all have lunch?
Yes, we did.
And you said Yuri was with Tracey Nix?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
You're fine.
I'll practice.
Yes, ma'am. And so who was taking care of Yuri while you guys were having lunch?
Tracey.
And was she paying attention to her?
Oh, yes.
Feeding her or giving her at least something to drink, stuff like that?
Yes, we were all getting a kick out of her giving the child something to drink from a straw, which for a little one, you can't really do that unless you hold the liquid in the straw and kind of hold it over them and let them drink from the straw. It was cute.
And Yuri's like a baby at this time,
Oh,
right?
yes. Yeah. Yes.
Were you guys paying Yuri attention?
Certainly.
How about anybody else in that?
She's getting a lot of attention.
Sure. How about anyone else in that restaurant?
Yes. We saw some friends from church who, of course, wanted to ooh and ah over the baby, and we spoke with them.
It's funny how a baby can become the center of attention, right?
She was.
How did Tracey feel about Yuri?
She loved her. I don't know what else to say. That's her grandmother. Of course she loved her.
Pretty obvious.
Yes.
Okay. You'd seen her around Yuri before.
Yes. She had had Yuri with her at my home that day and taking care of her and watching her play on the floor. And it was obvious.
Then the state called Rebecca Tucker. So this is Uriel's aunt to the stand. And Rebecca, like we saw before, just struggled to hold back tears as she recounted the moment she learned of her niece's death. And she described arriving at her mother's home that day only to be confronted with the horrific sight of the Lexus SUV in the driveway and Uriel lifeless in the back seat.
Did you know a Uriel Shock? Who was that?
She's my niece.
Okay. Now, I know this is upsetting, and I'm sorry I have to go back to it, but I do have to go back to November 1st of 2022, okay? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Ma'am, if you recall, just in general, what were you doing that day?
It was a normal day. Worked and picked my kids up from school.
Okay. Let me ask you in particular, were there any plans that you had with your mother, Tracey Nix, that day? Maybe not for you, but for someone in your family.
Yes, Aiden was supposed to go out of town with her.
And how was that supposed to happen?
I was to bring him to her house after school.
After school?
Mm-hmm.
And how did you communicate with your mother that day?
Through texting, I believe.
And so, do you know, you said it was supposed to be after school?
Yes.
What time was approximately after school?
Between 4 and 5 p.m. I don't know exactly what time.
Okay, but roughly around then.
Right.
And did you bring Aiden to your mother's house that day?
I did.
And was it roughly in that between 4 and 5 o'clock hour?
Yes.
What was going on when you got out there?
Well, whenever Aiden and I got out of the vehicle to check on my boys' 4-H pigs that they had at the time, I saw my mom and my dad doing something by my mom's vehicle, and I wasn't really sure, what it was. So it didn't take long at all to figure it out.
And your mom's property, is it just her house or?
No, so you have the house and then the barn is in the back.
So where did you see your mom's vehicle?
It was down by the barn where we went.
All right. And she was doing something, but you didn't think of anything at first?
No, I couldn't see because their backs were to me.
Okay. Did you come to find out more soon after?
Mm-hmm.
What did you see?
I saw them get Yuri out of her car seat.
And when you say them, who were you talking to?
My mom or my dad, I'm not really sure which one was the one that got her out, but it was one of them.
And your dad's name?
His name is Nay.
Got Yuri out of the car seat?
Yes.
Where was Yuri put?
Where you said where
was she placed?
On the ground.
Okay. Anything else that was done?
My dad started performing CPR.
Okay. What did you do?
I called 911.
And the jury heard this harrowing phone call. And notably, Tracey Nix, again the defendant, remained with her head bowed down as that recording was played in the courtroom.
911, where is your emergency? 1478 Caven Road. What's happening at 1478 Caven Road? I'm on with my niece in the car. I don't know. I just pulled up, but we need EMS, immediately. Please. All right. Your niece was left in the car. Is she breathing? I don't know what happened. I have no idea. I can't even fathom this right now. My nephew just... Can you get to her so we can answer some questions? No, I don't know what's going on. I can't. My mom is I can't. I literally can't. I have no idea. Talk to your dad if he's with your niece. My dad, it has her right now. My dad has her. Oh Lord. How old is your niece? Oh my God. This is really, really, really bad. Oh no. Oh man. Oh yep. My name is Rebecca Tucker. My parents are named Tracey Nix.
Okay, ma'am, how old is your niece?
I don't know. She's only a couple months old.
Okay, I need you to be with her because I need to know if she's breathing. I need to know now.
It doesn't seem like it.
So it doesn't seem like she's breathing.
No.
Do you know how long she was left in the vehicle?
I have no idea. I just pulled up. Please.
Okay, I have help on the way, but I'm going to stay on the phone with you while you're there.
Oh, Lord.
Okay,
I have my 12-year-old son.
Okay, how old is your niece? Is it going to be the baby?
8 months old.
Okay.
It's okay, please, and I'm going to take you home. I can't be here for this.
Okay, I understand. Is this Kayla's the youngest one?
Yes.
Okay, I need to talk to somebody because I want to do CPR on her.
My dad's doing it right now.
Okay, so the CPR is in progress?
No. Are you doing CPR? Oh my God, she's dead.
Okay, how does she look?
Her eyes are open. She's not moving or breathing.
Okay, I know you just got there. Is there any way that somebody can answer how long she's been like this?
Mom! I don't know where she's at. How long was she in the car? A while. She was in the car.
A paramedic who responded to the scene testified on the horrifying conditions that Uriel was found in when he arrived, describing her body as hot to the touch and soaked in sweat.
Do you recall participating in attempting to treat 7-month-old Uriel Shock on that day?
Yes, sir. I was a charged paramedic.
Can you explain how you became involved?
So I was on a rescue that day. So we got dispatched to the call, and I believe it came out as a cardiac arrest. And with the additional notes, they said that the child has been left in the car since around noontime.
Okay. And so how did you get there that day?
We was in a rescue, the ambulance, and so we drove there to the scene.
And do you remember where you went to?
Yes, we went to, you want the address?
You can refresh your recollection if you need to.
Yeah, 1478 Kaysen Road in Wauchula, Florida.
And what was going on when you got out there, sir?
So when we arrived on scene, I think we was more directed to go towards the back of the house. As we was approaching, I guess it was the grandfather. He was kind of in a hysterical state. He already had pulled the child out of the back of the vehicle and had her on the ground. You know, like I said, he was hysterical, crying. It looked as if he was trying to do CPR. When we arrived, we parked the rescue probably about a couple feet away from it. I exited out of the vehicle. I walked around, picked the patient up. And at that time, you know, I can feel how hot she was.
Let me stop you there, sir. And when you say patient, are we talking about Uriel?
Yes, sir.
And was Uriel a child? Was she an infant?
Yeah, she was an infant.
Okay. Now you said you picked her up. You noticed she was hot.
Yes. So when I picked her up, I could feel it through my gloves. She was just hot to touch. She had on, I would say, something that you would normally put a child in during the wintertime. It was like a long sleeve onesie, like a real fuzzy onesie.
Did you notice anything about the onesie she was in?
Yes, it was very damp.
Damp, you said?
Damp.
Okay.
From, sweating.
Okay. So once you pick her up, what did you do at this point?
At that point, we went ahead, because we used the back of our rescue. We use it as more of like a controlled environment. So we entered into the rescue, and that's when we started proceeding to do CPR efforts at that time. Once we started doing, further evaluation, we noticed that she started to have rigor mortis that was already set in.
And what did that lead you to believe, sir?
That she's been dead for a while.
And one of the day's most Emotional moments came when a police officer took the stand and fought back tears as he described the moment that he placed Uriel's body along with her teddy bear in a body bag and looked at pictures of her as she was found that day. And as he spoke, tears were also visible in the eyes of Uriel's family members who were seated in the gallery.
The address you went out, sorry about the question, but is that in Hardy County?
It is in Hardy County.
Okay. And what did you say Tracey Nix was doing?
She was walking around. She appeared to be in a frantic state. She was crying as well.
And did you discover what was going on out there?
I did.
What happened?
I discovered that she had left her granddaughter, Uriel, in the vehicle that she was driving that day.
Thus the frantic nature?
Correct. That was the reason that she was frantic.
And what was the granddaughter's name?
Uriel Shock.
And was Uriel Shock there when you got there?
I believe she was in the ambulance, if not, had already been transported.
Okay. So what did you do next, sir, once you're out of that scene?
My supervisor advised me to go to the hospital, the Advent Health in Wauchula, and take possession, not possession, but be there for the scene of the child and begin photographing Uriel Shock.
And so you took photographs?
I did.
I'm approaching you with what's been pre-marked as State's Exhibits 4 through 8. Please keep them down and go through each one of them. See if you recognize them. Look up when you're ready to proceed, sir. Okay? Are you ready, sir?
Yes.
First, I'd like to for you to take a look at State Exhibit number 4. This should have been in order.
Okay.
Do you recognize that item, sir?
I do.
What is that?
It's a picture of Uriel Shock in the hospital bed.
And what was Uriel's status when you were taking these pictures?
She was already deceased.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of what you observed that day at the hospital?
It is.
Your Honor, the state would seek to enter into State's Exhibit number 4.
Defense, any objection?
No, Your Honor.
So admitted without objection.
And the state will publish them once they've all been admitted, Your Honor. Would you please take a look at State's Exhibit number 5, sir?
Yes.
What is that?
It's a picture of Uriel Shock's little hand.
And what does the picture show?
The hand is clasped shut, like gripping.
And is that a fair and accurate depiction of what you observed that day in the hospital?
It is.
Your Honor, the state would seek to enter in State's Exhibit number 5 at this time.
Defense,
No objection.
admitted without objection.
Would you please turn to State's Exhibit 6? Do you recognize State's Exhibit 6?
I do.
What is that?
It's a knitted, crocheted blanket that the hospital provided for Uriel Shock.
Is that to place her in, I guess?
It was to cover her up, to comfort.
Okay. And does that fairly and accurately depict that blanket that you saw that day?
It does.
Your Honor, the state would seek to enter in State's Exhibit number 6 at this time.
Defense,
No objection.
admitted without objection. Number 6.
And finally, State's Exhibit number 7, do you recognize that item?
I do.
What is that?
It's the little red or pink onesie that Uriel was wearing that day.
And does that fairly and accurately depict the onesie as you saw it that day?
It does.
Your Honor, the state would seek to enter State's Exhibit number 7 at this time.
Defense,
No objection.
admitted without objection. Number 7.
And finally, State's Exhibit number 8. Would you please look at that?
I did.
What is that?
It's a little teddy bear.
And why was that photographed?
I don't know why I photographed it, but I put it in with Uriel before I zipped up her body bag.
Is that something that was with her?
It was.
And is that a fair and accurate depiction of what you saw that day?
It is.
By the way, the defense objected to the photo of that teddy bear on the grounds of relevance, and after a brief argument, the judge ruled in their favor, excluding the image from the jury's consideration. I mean, obviously, that could be quite prejudicial to them. So legally, the photo was not entered into evidence, but, you know, its emotional impact was undeniable. One of the detectives who was on the scene that day took the stand to testify on her interactions with Tracey Nix in those critical moments after Uriel's death. Her body-worn camera footage was played for the jury, where Nix can be heard crying and hyperventilating over the tragedy, pleading with officers to leave the scene. In the courtroom, Nix could be seen sobbing as this was played, but we can only show you the audio of this.
Okay. I don't want to be here when she comes. I can't do this. Okay. I'm going to get in my car. I need to just go somewhere. Well, unless you're going to arrest me. I need to get a statement from you, though, okay? Are you okay to do a statement? Yes. Do you want to go back to the sheriff's office and sit with me? Would that be better? I can't let you drive like this. I cannot stay here. Do you want to get in my car? I cannot stay here. I have to go. So is that okay? If you get in my car and just go with me? I don't want to face anyone. Okay. I can't face my daughter. I can't do it. I cannot do it. I cannot. I cannot. How can I help you right now? I don't know. I need to get in my car and go somewhere. If you need to take a statement, do it now. Unless you're going to arrest me. Is your vehicle close by or no? Okay. Look, would it be easier then if you sat in Detective Ward's vehicle? I cannot be here when she gets here. I cannot do it.
Do we want to sit at the table inside, or?
I can't. She don't want to be here. Like, we can't let her drive this. It would be irresponsible.
Well, let's go back.
Let me drive to the sheriff's office, and you follow me.
Can I take you and we'll bring you back?
Yes.
Okay.
But, yeah, we'll do that.
I don't want you driving in this state.
Not at all. Okay. But let's I may leave from the sheriff's department. Absolutely. But let's get you out of here for now. Let's do that. Okay. Is that okay? Let's do that. Come on, Tracey. Let's go this way. I cannot do this. I understand. I cannot. I've got to be gone before they come. I've got to be gone before they come. Yeah. Tracey, are you okay to walk to the front, or can you? There's my car right there on the regular. I cannot do this. Tracey, please drive me. Take my car. I don't want to. I can't drive your car, Tracey. We're gonna leave your car, okay? I don't want to come back here. Stay right here with me. I don't want to come back here. I get that, but I can always have your husband come get you. Sure. No, I don't want to come back here. Okay. I mean, I'm serious about getting in my car and going somewhere. Okay. Yeah, do that. Okay. So for right this second, I've got to be gone when she comes. I cannot be here. I got you. Okay. I'm gonna have Ward take you. All right. We will figure something out for your vehicle. Don't worry about that right now. Right now, let's just worry about taking you out of here safely. We gotta take care of, okay? Okay. You can't go in your vehicle, Woody. So you can't go in the vehicle. I cannot do this. She was here. Somebody else? I called up one. Please, let's not stand here. Let's go somewhere. I don't want to be here.
Also, in that audio, Nix told detectives that she just had this sudden realization hours later that she left Uriel in the car.
So about 4:30 is when you went out to your vehicle. Yeah. About how long after 4:30 did you realize that she was in the car?
I sat and talked today, probably 5 to 10 minutes. Okay. With him sitting on the lawnmower and me sitting in the car. And then I got out because Rebecca and Aiden had come up, and I was going to see if I could help them. And all of a sudden, I realized I just had that flash of what had happened a year ago. And then all of a sudden, I realized we opened the door.
Maybe like 15, 20 minutes?
10,
About
probably.
10? Okay. What was the first thing you did when you noticed?
I cried and I was praying. And they got her out. And I went around to the other side of the bar where we found him. I was just, his brain. And I didn't call 911. But my dad said, when I went around and glanced around the barn, lights were already there.
Okay, so you went around the barn and you called 911.
And I went around the back side of the barn.
Okay.
I'm scared.
I know. You're doing a really good job, so I appreciate it.
So the state rested their case after calling a medical examiner to the stand who testified that Uriel did not die from a sudden or quick death. And Tracey Nix chose not to take the stand in her own defense. Her husband was the sole witness to testify for her before they rested their case. And remember, Nix was charged with involuntary manslaughter, leaving a child unattended in a motor vehicle. And let me just say this, I cover trials all the time, and you have to think about how difficult it is for a jury to sit in any criminal trial. This one, especially difficult. And you also have to think about how difficult it is for the family members and the first responders who saw Uriel. Tough case. But ultimately, the jury decided she was responsible in some part for what happened, as they deliberated for just about an hour before returning their verdict.
We, the jury, find as follows as to count 1 of the charge. The defendant, Tracey Howard Nix, is not guilty. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 2 of the charge. The defendant, Tracey Howard Nix, is guilty of leaving a child in a motor vehicle in excess of 15 minutes, causing great bodily harm.
Be sure to watch our full gavel-to-gavel coverage on the Law&Crime YouTube page. That's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. Speak to you next time.